What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Chase's Sports News. I am your host, Chase Coburn, here today. We've already made our official NFL postseason predictions. Last week, I went 5 for 6 in the wild card round, so it's time to run it back and try to do it here for the divisional round slate. Let's not waste any time. Let's jump right into this. As you can see, I have the bracket up here. The only game I got wrong, I thought Philadelphia was going to beat San Francisco last week. They did not, which now I think makes the NFC playoff picture a little bit more competitive and a little bit more entertaining with the way that both of those matchups are aligned. And then over on the AFC side, it went exactly as I predicted. But I think I got the games correct, but not in the ways that I thought those teams would win. I didn't expect New England, Los Angeles to be such a defensive game like that. I didn't expect the Texans to not look like a great team through three quarters. So I think it sets up a very, very interesting divisional round. I'm excited to break it all down right here on Chase's Sports News. Let's not waste any time. Let's start off Denver, Buffalo, what a game that is going to be. You know, I've stated on various occasions that I think the Denver Broncos are frauds, and I'm not going away from that. I do have the Bills winning this game, but I do need to acknowledge it. There is a clear path for Denver. I mean, number one, they're 8-1 at home this season. They're coming off 13 days of rest, short week for Buffalo, and they've been banged up. So already that alone could make the difference in a football game that can get so physical in the postseason. And I think the key for Denver has to be to get pressure on Josh Allen. Kay Adams put out a really interesting stat this week. Allen and the Bills are 1-4 this season when he gets hit 6 or more times. When that does take place, Allen 6 passing touchdowns, 6 interceptions, and a passer rating below league average. So given the fact that Allen's been banged up over the past few weeks and Denver leads the NFL in sacks with 68, this could line up to be a game where Denver's going to create a ton of pressure, and Allen's just going to be trying to survive out there. But the reason why I do have the Bills going on to win this game is simply because the best way to beat Buffalo and to exploit Buffalo is to run the football productively. That's what the Jacksonville did. They were running the ball really well for parts of that game. And the way that teams had beat them this year, I mean, look at Baltimore in the playoffs last year, almost erased a 2-score comeback in the second half because they were able to run all over them with Derrick Henry. And the run defense, the concerns for the rush defense have only been intensified this year. So Denver's rushing attack has been inept since J.K. Dobbins went down from injury. Dobbins was great, but R.J. Harvey has not been able to fill that void. And so if Denver is not able to run the ball, I really do think in the fourth quarter of a tight game, this game is going to come down to who do you trust to make the plays, Josh Allen and Bo Nix. And every day of the week and twice on Sundays, I'm picking Josh Allen. So I think the Bills are going to come up with a win 24-20. It should be a really, really good matchup to kick things, to get things going this weekend. But yeah, it's going to be a really, really tight game. I just think Denver's inability to run the football is going to end up paying the price. They're going to end up paying the price for that. And I think the Bills are going to move on. As you can see right here, Buffalo on to the AFC Championship game. Over on the NFC side, Seattle, San Francisco. That's an incredible game tonight. I really think the Niners have a shot. The fact that it's Seattle -7, I think is truly, I can't believe that is the case, considering these teams just played and it was pretty competitive. I mean, Seattle is the 1 seed. I think Seattle's probably the best team in the NFL, but I think the key for San Francisco, kind of muck things up a little bit, force some turnovers on Sam Darnold. They're kind of surging, coming off of a really good win against the reigning champions on the road. And I also think there are a lot of questions with Seattle, right? How do you handle the bye week? Sometimes the bye week can kill teams' momentum. How are they going to be able to readjust? Are they going to look a little bit rusty? Sam Darnold's been banged up. He's had that oblique injury. How is that going to affect things? And not to mention Clint Kubiak, the offensive coordinator. Does he even have his mindset on this game? Is he looking for a head coaching position? So I think there are so many questions there, and that's what makes this a true toss-up because, on the other hand, Seattle also just beat them in San Francisco. The Niners are only more banged up since that time. Yes, they're getting Trent Williams back, but they lost George Kittle. And not to mention, Seattle had the beat in week 1 as well. And San Francisco was barely able to pull away with a win in that game. I'm still rolling with Seattle. They were my pick to make the Super Bowl out of the NFC, but do not be surprised if San Francisco wins this game. I think it's going to be a great divisional matchup. I'll say Seattle 23-19. And as you can see right here, that means the Seattle Seahawks go to the NFC Championship game. But I was tied up between this game all week. I really don't know who to pick. I think it's going to be one of the better matchups of the divisional round. Back over to the AFC here for the Sunday afternoon slate. It's the New England Patriots hosting the Houston Texans. Houston's defense is legit. If you didn't know it before the postseason, I mean, they showed that against Pittsburgh, and it felt like Pittsburgh did everything that they were going to need to do to win this game. Force turnovers, stop Houston in the red zone. Houston's offense was inconsistent, but the Houston defense was able to produce 2 of their touchdowns. 14 of their 30 points in that matchup were from the defense. So I think it's going to be very, very difficult to be able to stop this defense, try to contain or limit this defense. We saw what the Chargers were able to do to Drake May, and you could argue the Houston's defense is much better than Los Angeles, which I will make that case. That pass rush is a lot more fearful than Odafe Owe coming off the edge. However, I think it's very hard in today's NFL to win without a strong enough offense, and I feel like I'm waiting for someone to exploit Houston with that offense. CJ Stroud just hasn't been incredible, right? Christian Kirk had a great game, got to give him a ton of credit. But without Nico Collins in this matchup, how much of an asset is Christian Kirk going to be? I just think this offense has too many inconsistencies to win. And plus, we just saw what the Patriots could do when you're able to exploit an inconsistent quarterback with a lackluster offensive line that is without a true offensive creator. We just saw what New England's defensive approach was against the Chargers at home, and I think it's going to be very similar and very similarly productive against this Texans offense. Bet the under. I think it's going to be a very much a defensive game, like the Chargers Patriots game was on Sunday Night Football. But I think the Pats are going to pull away with a very tight victory, 17-14, which means the Patriots are going to go back to the AFC Championship game. And then last, but certainly not least, here on Sunday Night Football, Los Angeles Rams at Chicago Bears. Kind of like Denver, I feel like I'm almost forced to pick the Bears because I've gone on the air and said I don't think the Rams are a Super Bowl team, and I do stand by that. That defense did not look good against Carolina. That game against Carolina went exactly the way I thought it would go. I thought it would be a game where the Rams are just more talented and they're going to pull away. But the Panthers, who are not a great team, came very, very close. And that was kind of my point, is that the Rams are barely limping into the playoffs and just barely cruising by with wins. I think that's going to end here. I think the key of this entire matchup is going to be whether or not LA is going to put the game away in the first half, right? Chicago, it's not feasible to expect them to make another comeback of 18 points or something of that magnitude again. But let's not kid ourselves. The Rams aren't any... the Rams are prone to blowing leads in the postseason, or in the regular season as well. Blew leads to Philadelphia and to Seattle. And then the Bears aren't any newcomers to coming back and kind of tightening those deficits as well. So it's not like it's insane to think even if the game is out of reach, you're going against a team that doesn't know how to keep a lead and going against a team that oftentimes cuts deficits. So I think if this game is tied or if it's close at halftime, I'm going to roll with Chicago. I think the Bears are the much better second half team. And while I think this one factor has been a little bit overrated in talks this week, the Chicago wind chill is not going to be great for the Los Angeles Rams, who may not be used to playing in those conditions. I know they played well in Philadelphia with similar conditions last year, but that could play a factor as well. Overall, I think the game's going to come down to whether or not the Rams are going to be able to put the game away in the first half, because if they don't, we know the Rams can blow leads and we know Chicago could come back. I think the Bears are going to pull away with a victory 30-27, which means, yes, folks, the Chicago Bears are going to go to the NFC Championship game, setting up Chicago at Seattle, 1 versus 2 in the NFC side, and in the AFC side, it's an AFC East rematch between the Patriots and the Buffalo Bills. We will make those predictions next week if it comes to that point. Again, my initial Super Bowl prediction was Bills over Seahawks. I'm going to stand by that. However, I would not be surprised if San Fran won this weekend. I wouldn't be surprised if Houston won this weekend. There are a lot of matchups that were really toss-ups for me. I think it's going to be a really fun weekend of football, and I appreciate you guys tuning in to hear all of my picks and selections for these upcoming games. We're going to wrap things up right here. I am Chase Coburn here for Chase's Sports News. Thank you guys for your support. There's going to be a lot of fun content coming your way soon, plus an exclusive interview with NBC Sports Noah Eagle coming tomorrow. So please stay tuned for that. Signing off here for Chase's Sports News. I am Chase Coburn. Enjoy some of the NFL games today, and we will see you next time right here over on Chase's Sports News.